There is a lot of organization who has integrated SaaS platform into their day-to-day work. If it's for sales, you got CRM, where CRM has Salesforce. You got a HCM, which is a human capital management, like Workday. You got a ERP system, which is SAP and Oracle. For FP&A purpose, you got Anaplan and Adaptive. It has come up to a part where reconstruction or rewiring of a SaaS platform is happening. The body is the same, but the central nervous system between the organization and the SaaS needs to be rewired, and that's where it has structurally changed or challenged itself from inside. Once an organization select those proprietary solutions, they get stuck because SaaS platform at least take 18 months of implementation. First, it has to go through a variation of phases where at least 3 to 4 months are been taken to understand where exactly the business scope is, how exactly they can build the SaaS platform. And at the same period of time, this 18 month have cost an organization like $3 or $4 million. Organization don't normally do a negotiation. It's quite funny. They don't do a negotiation on the licensing fees every year, right? When I try to understand it, 18 months cost of more than 4 million. If I go around tomorrow and if I just knock on the door of a stakeholder and I say tomorrow I would just want to change the system, SaaS is no more evolving and realistic is not giving us more answer what we really want out of our data, or the business drivers are no more making sense for us, and he'll be like, are you idiot? We have spent more than $4 million. Our company employee know each and every one. We know the consultant. We know everything. So the math doesn't really flip it for them. So it's quite hard for a company to go out from their legacy system and now bring up a new system like AI. Still, companies are pretty much afraid to bring all those alternatives. But I hope over the period of time things changes. There's a lot of pushback going on. So I hope everything comes more on a outcome basis where you pay for more outcome rather than just having a licensing fees and getting stuck with the proprietary solution. Let's talk about two layer which I saw as a line item by line item when I saw an invoice of a SaaS platform or SaaS organization every month or every year what they charge around it. So on the visibility side, you can see licensing fees every year they're gonna charge you somewhere around 100K to 50K. Vendor is just giving you a license to their workflow and you are taking that workflow and using it. So there is a licensing fees. Second is what extra customization you want while building those or while implementing those platform. There's a lot of business scope creep. Tomorrow if an ELT or SLT team comes up and says, hey, you know what, we don't need this part, we need like this or something like which was not in the scope of while building or while implementing those SaaS, those can change. So those customization also has a cost behind it where they charge you the most is per module, per tenant cost, per environmental cost. So one environment can have 10 to 50 tenants. 10 to 50 tenants can have multiple sitting around it because one tenant can be shared with multiple person, right? One can have a standard design, one can have a admin level designs. So the cost changes on this variable very visibly. You can see, hey, you know what, the per sitting cost is this, the per module cost is this, the per environmental cost is this, and the annual increase on most of this contract, they are not just on the basis of implementing feature. Now it's more over how the consulting partner is doing, if they want to add more stuff to the customization, how consulting is gonna act. And the second most invisible line of line items which can hit any organization on and it can erode the profitability of it is the software. Once the software hits to its limitation, you need to increase the computational power, you need to increase the whole configuration power. So the limitation doesn't evolve around a person or an organization, but it depends on how the organization wants to use it, because as the organization goes, the data also increases day by day. As you know, data is in pure case in the whole IT industry. It's now called as an oil, because with the help of data you can create a lot of business driver, you can embed a lot of KPIs, you can understand the organization health. But because of this, you need to keep data some or the other way secured, stored, governance, and moreover it should be more auditable. Between all of this part comes the computational power, which has now drastically increased because of chips now coming up to an expensive prices, a lot of another things, external stuff coming up. So there is also an invisible line items which have added to this SaaS platform where it can go up to a yearly cost of more than $500,000. The cost of goods sold when AI is integrated into a SaaS platform, the per sitting cost or the where exactly they were earning the profit has now decreased. Adding a one user or one seat or one tenant used to add up to their value, saying that that was the profit. Now adding an AI, because of AI, now the computational volume has increased, the engine volume has increased, due to which the cost of AI is also increased with the tenant. AI can make an analyst a super analyst. Why do I say as a super analyst? Because it can help at least efficiency to increase by 5 analysts. It can work as a 5 analyst. Now you got Lovable, which do a wipe coding around it. You got cloud native platform, which have more structural or behind the system architecture, how it is layered upon the whole system. The complexity of the SaaS needs to be changed where they sell each and every feature. If I want to just add one more KPI or one more engine driver to the SaaS used to add those pricing to a customization, whereas now the whole flow has changes. Now the whole operational basis has come. Now it is more to understanding of data, how individually the workflow is working. It's no more customization value or it's no more licensing fees value for them. It's how you build and go across to it, how you can push forward for it. So the pricing as well as now the changes in the feature and now AI come into places. There are the three or four forces which SaaS companies has to take a hit as well as evolve around it. When we talk about making a financial statement or understanding how financial analyst or how FP&A works, it's about taking the whole structural data around from HR, from sales, from marketing, from everywhere else. Because eventually you want to understand where exactly your organization health is going on. Will you be able to liquidize your own value of whatever money you have put across? Tomorrow, if something happens or bankruptcy happens, you should have an understanding where exactly your money is stuck around. On that side, FP&A functionality is much more bigger for a startup to understand its organization health, or on the SME side, maybe a mid-sized company who is going around a tough time or understanding where exactly they are bleeding around the money. They need to understand where exactly the money is going on. But on the startup, many of them are still working on Excel. Stitching up an Excel documentation is the much more tougher since we have increase in level or volume of data. Excel has a limitation of 1 million of data, right? So 1 million of data after that, and then stitching of the whole data using Excel as a data storage engine is the worst possible way a SME and a startup can do. So basically, that's why they need something more stable. They need what can be scalable, what can be easily deployed, and SaaS does give them a lot of option around it. But since it's costing them more than $500,000, there's a licensing fees, there's a consulting partner. The pain around them is to have a proper functional understanding of a software like Anaplan or maybe an adaptive can give a power to them. They have to do still with the Excel, they have to do with Power BI, and there is no auditability behind the data. There is no understanding how the data is coming, and that can be a really a pain point for anyone in the company. And decision making around on those organization would be much more tougher because since the data is not properly kept or not properly schemed, it's gonna have an underlining not that capability of giving them an answer around and not that capability of increasing their stockholder values. So the fundamental difference of having an ownership of the SaaS is this whole SaaS platform implementation coming from another organization. We have to work with them. We have to buy their own computational layer. We have to buy their own data layer. We have to buy their own knowledgeable layer. And there is a separate cost on individual side at each layer. This flips on the cloud native side. So you are the one who is going around on the marketplace. You are the one who is going to buy the data layer. Tomorrow, if I want to switch from, let's say, AWS to Azure, I can do it. I can't tell to an SaaS vendor, hey, you know what, this is not working for me. Can you change the computational? Or this is quite slow. Can you change it? That's not possible. But on the cloud native FP&A side, this is possible. Tomorrow, if some evolving technology comes, I can go around in the marketplace, I can buy it, and I can interchange it. So the whole efforts on the cloud FP&A side is a possibility of having more option over it. Having an ownership of your data is much more preferable. There is such an invisible line when you implement a SaaS platform. You don't have the power over the data governance. You don't have the power over the workflow, the changes, how your engine needs to work. This is not a problem of you can say SaaS. This is the problem of architecture. How you can build the architecture, that's the most important thing. The fundamental difference is the ownership of the stack. In the traditional FP&A, It's built around closed models. The vendor owns the schema, the calculation engines, and the reporting layer, and you rent the access to all of these three, and you really can't separate them out. In cloud native, this flips. The data layer is yours in your cloud. In the relationship engine you controlled, the calculation logic lives in the SQL view you can read. The reporting layer and the AI layer sits on the top, and you can swap any of these layers without losing any other work of it. The architecture is basically in the four distinct layer. A data layer is a neon PostgreSQL, which holding a governed financial tables with calculation logic in the SQL view. A knowledge layer that encodes the KPIs definition and the business rule as system object and not buried inside a prompt. An agentic AI which has a four different tasks. I've been using AWS Bedrock for reporting, doing a variance analysis, KPI interpretation, and the management commentary. And on any application layer in the Streamlight where analysts interact, every layer is replaceable, even the output is auditable. Uh, so it's basically in SaaS, the vendor owns your workflow, and cloud native you do. Because the data, the rules and models all live in the same architecture, you can ground up to an AI saying, hey, you know what? This is my financial context. And with the help of this context, I need you to audit each and every output out of it. Due to this, what will happen is the AI hallucination, which is nowadays a lot of problem where AI can hallucinate a certain answer. But since we are doing a context engineering means I have already given a context to the Python. Python will give it to LLM or the AI, and it will only have that level of context what Python needs to expose to it. The AI hallucination, that's no more your problem. The KPI definition, because you can encode those data, you can run sophisticated planning, workload, and it's gonna cost you not like a quarter million or something like that. It's gonna cost you hardly like 20, 30,000. The real elasticity value is you can use and then you can pay as much as you want the computational power also, the AI layer also, as well as the application layer where the exactly the streamlight is. And the most important breakthrough is your whole work is not dependent on AI or your whole dependency is not on the feature. It's on the architecture layer. The reporting layer underneath the whole product is once layer is clean, governed. The AI is just using its reasoning to help you to bring from a surface level data to much more augmented level of data. When creating this kind of project or creating this kind of deployment, it requires you to have at least a three role, which I personally believe is one, a finance guy who understand your business, who understand what business goals you want to create and how data can work for you. Second, a data analytical guy who understand the reporting layer in the SQL, how immediately you can stitch a document from multiple sources of things. And the third or most the important person is going to be your architecture, because architecture is the one who is going to help you out to demarcate all those layers, keeping a governance stack. If you want to add extra layer to it, you can easily add to it. It depends on all of these three things. And budget wise, you can do a pilot run of 50 or maybe $60,000, taking it all year and building a typically an enterprise level of FP&A, which is a financial barrier which has gone and now remains is more of a talent barrier where you need these three kind of people to build up the systems. Migration is a stage-based system, right? Migration doesn't happen within a day. Let's switch it off and let's remove all those data from this part. Let's bring out the data layer. Let's bring out the relationship database and let's insert into it. It's a system where you have to run parallelly with yourself. So migration happens on the data layer, where if you have an Excel-based data, you will stop using your Excel layer data and you will bring out those relationship databases. You will connect your Excel, you will connect your Power BI, whatever system you have been using with the database, and you will be bringing out those data from that database through a connectivity from like from ODBC, from JDBC or something like that. Power Query can help. So that's where the exact layer where you can start your migration process. The second most important thing is about once the data layer has been done, I can go around and I can ask each and every department what kind of KPIs they require. So I can build a knowledge layer upon it, and knowledge layer can be done parallelly across it. You can build a code, or you can, with the help of AI, you can build a workflow of how your code needs to answer those KPIs, how they need to encode it, and then you can fix those KPI layer on the top of your data layer. And the third most important thing is application layer, or you can say AI layer, where you need to interact with the UI. The most important thing is once the deployment happens on the data layer, knowledgeable layer, the last and foremost is the application layer, where you can use something like a Streamlight, or on your VM side, if you have your own personal VM, your own personal server, you can deploy those projects with a shared revenue or maybe a shared service kind of thing, where you don't really break your bank, but more importantly, you have your system now from legacy to much more sophisticated SaaS platform. The most important thing is the data migration. So data is very finicky. It's very hard to understand sometimes. Since data have been manually put into it, scheduler helps you to put those datas. Maybe there are some systems where a certain business goals needs to have a certain columns or certain attributes, and those attributes are now converted into a different data types or different data changes. You need to understand how you can bring those into one similar layer, where you can now act your data on the same parity level, where each and every data type, whatever you want, you can store it on the database, which can help you to easily understand how a view can be created out of it. You can build a reporting law or reporting, you can say, policies around, hey, you know what, I want this 10 attribute to build a whole reporting, and I need this for variance analysis, I need this for KPI interpretation. So you need to have a good understanding of the data before the data migration. The second is the business rules. You need to add up those business rules so that your data just don't blabber out those goals. They need to be a business rules. They need to an understanding of a layer, where a certain layer will help you out to bring out those visibility of that business rules, right? You need to understand if the metric have a certain movement or certain interpretation, how it can be brought up, saying a certain state might be doing an XYZ kind of a sale, some other state might be doing a YZ, why exactly it is. So you need to build a business rule on the data layer. When you're building a knowledgeable layer, you need to create multiple layer of knowledge. You need to give a proper knowledge to a system, where you have a understanding of the whole organization, how the materialistic threshold is there, how to decompose a revenue, how to build a variance analysis on it, how to build a volume, prices, mix effects, everything. So your knowledgeable layer should have all of this structured properly. And fourth of most is deployment on your VM. It really depends on how you want to do it. It's just on the basis of you want to keep a separate VM for your own application, or you want to have some open source on it, but it really depends on you. As you can see, I have kept this, or I have deployed this whole application on the Streamlight. Streamlight is in a Python-based, you can say, application, which helps you to manage your application. If you want to add certain um, new functionality, or if you want to push upgradation, or you want to just update a few things, with the help of Streamlight, you can easily do it. It is just like a push on the Git, and then you can easily changes. And on this application, as you can see, there is no it's a synthetic demo, no company policy, but it is moreover insurance side, since I've been working with insurance. And this has moreover, you can say, data of more than 2.5 million rows, or maybe more than that kind of thing, and more than 15 to 20 attributes around it. This is the, on your left hand side, you can see there is a control panel, where this is the data range, where I can change the data and I can shift to according to whichever the date I want. Now, just for the demo purpose, I have kept it between, the first and the fifth, and you can change it according to whatever I want. So what I wanted was to understand where exactly the whole, the data can be worked around, from actuals to prior to plan. All of this data has been making a business goals for me, from total book value or total gross written premium, to understanding the new business volumes, if the policies renew, how much is the book value of it, how much is the unique pet or unit pet policies we are running around, how much is the renewal size of the book, what is the average premium of it, what is the renewal. So this is all KPIs which are built across to it, which has helped, which are calculating from this data, from this date to this date. And as you can see on the executive train, you can see how it can change. So just to give you an example, let's go backtrack it. Let's backtrack till 2025. And if I go till 2025 Jan, and let's do first. Now the application will go at the behind on the behind. It will go from the data layer to the knowledge layer and then to the application layer. And of course we have an AI also, but then AI needs to be, come up to a part after a certain period of time. Now this will go and calculate each and everything, whatever the business goals or business driver we have fixed upon, and it will start populating this KPIs like what is the total book value, how is the trend going all around, what is exactly if executive want to do a trend drill down of what exactly the data has it, so you can do that. So now you can see executive summary has been started from 2025 till 2026. These are your business goals or business driver, which will give you how much it has changed according to plan, what was the plan, uh, so now you can see the trends, the points of contact where, data points where from Feb, from Jan, we have 53 million on the plan. From the actual, how much we made it, what was the prior value of 2025, what was our 2024 prior value. So we can not just understand where exactly the visualization is, we can add more stuff to it where, date logic can give you what is the demo scope for it, and you can easily understand, hey, you know what, I don't want it out of just a year or so, I want it more on the level of, let's say, week by week, I want it by channel, so I want it state by state, I want by product, I want by vendor. So let's click on vendor, and as you can see from the date range, it will calculate all the vendor data and then give you an answer around the vendor saying, you know what, this vendor has done this level of business, or this vendor has done that level of business, what is the average cost of it. So now you can see the whole vendor list, like from DTC, from marketplace, from partner network, from employment benefits. You can see where exactly, and you can download it also. So this is how the whole SaaS platform also work. It's just behind going and playing around and understanding the system architecture behind it, and now giving you an answer like, hey, you know what, this vendor has done this much of book value, what was the new business volume of GWP, what was the renewal policies value of the book, how much unique pet they have added, how much renewal pet they have retained, what is the average business premium, what is the renewal business average premium, what is the cost. And not just that, you can build from weekly performance, it will give you a weekly performance trend around it, the NBW, the new business, and go around from, doing a drill down from state channel. So this can be helpful for marketing people to get understanding of what exactly it is. Then YTD, since YTD is year to date, you can get a year to date understanding of what your data is doing, how much of your money is going, flowing, everything. From comparison to adding more visualization, from state to channel to driver, it can individually answer whatever the questions you want to add at the behind side. And this is not just a good understanding, but you can easily just download on this CSV file and you can do much more analysis on it, as you can see. Now the most important part which I have built across is the management commentary, where I don't want it to expose the whole data to the LLM or to whole data to the AI. So what exactly I did is I built a orchestrating layer of what we were talking about, knowledge layer, and the knowledge layer will now create a a RAG, which is a retrieval augmented generating. So it will only give those information to the LLM saying, hey, you know what? The total GWP is this, the NBWSP is this. Can you, augment those commentary? And if I say, hey, you know what, generate the AI commentary. Now it will take all of this information what you have given to him through the knowledge layer, and it will start to augment it. Augment means it will start to increase the knowledge, or enhance the knowledge around it. So as you can see, the LLM has started working, and it will give you a management commentary saying a lot about the date range, what we have selected, what exactly, business drivers are, what exactly the business goals are, what should be the management focus area should be. It will give you a lot more answers over it. So see, on the day train side, it says that executive summary where the total gross or written premium is somewhere around like 555 million. It is coming out of 95.2% of the plan, like on the increasing size. While the renewal performance remains the solid, the new business has been written well. So it has augmented whatever the information we have given through the knowledge base side or knowledge layer side, and there what is the key drivers, what are been underperforming, what is going near to the plan, which channel is helping us to lead it, what is the geographical location, which geographical location is helping us more, or which is not working as what we thought about, management focus area, new business recoveries, any channel needs a certain, more push over it, what is the renewal premium trajectory, employment benefits, or whatever it is. It is not just that. When we come up to a stage where we have built an AI agent level, I have something called AI assistant. So AI assistants means there are four layer of AI agents which I have built. One is variance assistant, which can compare the prior data to my actual data and give me a variance analysis. Then there's something called weekly performance. Since I've been doing a lot of weekly reporting, there needs to be a weekly performance of how the data is going. There's a growth driver assistance which will give you for the marketing people will give you an understanding where exactly the growth is happening, and a management call assistant where this agent will be the one who will be giving a management level answers to help ELT and SLT members. So let's go for I'll go for variance assistant, and then I'll tell him within the date range what else answers you can find, and it will give me an answers. It will give me an answer on that part. And now this agent works as a RAG. RAG means a retrieval, which will take whatever the information which is important for the LLM to do an augmented answer. And then with the help of these questions, since we have not exposed the whole data to the LLM, I can ask him questions like why is the period above or below the pan? Is the variance driven more by new business volume or renewal? Since it's an insurance-based company, I'll say, hey, you know what? Generate the assistant questions or generate the answer. So agent will go and retrieve whatever the important information he has it, give it to LLM. LLM will augment it, and then afterwards you will see the generated answer. Now the AI is generating answer for it. After getting all the information, the AI augment the data and it will generate the answer. So as you can see, my agent was variance assistant. So now it will give me a whole variance analysis on the GWP versus plan or forecasting against the plan. It gives the direct, so the period which I've selected is below the plan by 4.8% and as close 95.5% to the plan. Total, what is the GWP, what are the supporting drivers which have created the most important information for the plan, what is the average new business premium against the plan, and it can compare the data from state to individual everything. And now you can ask him more recommended follow-up question to it, and it will also give me an answer, because then why it matters, what it matters, it can build so much stuff for it you. Let's change the variation now to the growth driver where marketing team can help you to understand where exactly this agent can help them out. So if a marketing person has a question over what channel has more driving growth or which state is doing much more preferable business for us or which state or product are doing the strongest over the period. So let's ask him this question and let's copy it and let's paste it and let's say generate the assistant. So again, this is a similar RAG where a agent will go behind, retrieve whatever the important question or whatever important question answer is, those data, then it will push forward to the LLM or the AI layer. The AI layer then will augment it and then it will generate some kind of question which depending on what data has properly hidden or properly give you an answer over it. So now the AI is generating after getting all the information. And now it has produced something for us, the strongest state and the product. So that depending on question, it will answer it. So direct answer is that which were the top five states which are effectively adding more to the business from NY to Washington to California to NJ. What kind of product like accidental and endless product has been doing really good because it's a 48.3% of your market share and 176 million it has done together. What are the supporting drive? The AO has been dominance in the core entry level all across the channel. It has given you a signal of 38.1. What is the average premium cost? And depending on all the questions you can ask the follow-up question also for them. So yes, it's a lot of learning curve as well as once you build it, that's it. You don't have to change anything around it. There's a lot of misconception around cloud native, and you can say how it is less governed. Maybe it's an open source. People are a lot of skeptic around it. But can you believe you are living around a vendor perimeter where a SaaS platform, from audit trails to where your vendor decide to log, do a calculation, their solution is totally proprietary. They are not going to give you uh, how they have built the logic around it. It's totally opaque. But now when you come to a cloud native solution, everything belongs to the organization. Organization are the one who has power over it. So a logging system can be readable through SQL or through the relationship database. The business rule can be encoded. If you are using a cloud platform like AWS and Azure, they have their own set of rules how you can just go around, create this policy level, whom to give what kind of access, whom to give what kind of a system object kind of thing. You can encode a lot of stuff on the object side. And not just that, not every AI interference call is for the logging system, but it is more for the context level. So you can easily trace back what kind of input can be given. Let's say on the previous closing cycle, if I've asked an AI, hey AI, can you help me out with certain planning numbers or for certain budgeting numbers, those log can't be found on the SaaS platform. But as you have built this own system of yours, you can backtrace your own output from previous year or previous closing. It is much more stronger governance because all of most of the stuff remains in the organization device, and the shift is from vendor trusted governance to architecture enforced government. I spoke about AWS, Azure. The data governments live inside all of these platforms. They have more than 2 or 3 thousand products around it. So now they have more sophisticated governance like a row level security, a role based access, encrypting data end to end at the rest. And as well as since you and yourself are gonna own the database, you have the business rule of the governance where you are going to build, hey, you know what, I want X number, like I want the average weighted policies, or I want any certain layer of knowledge which I want to add over it. It won't be a materialistic threshold, it would be more of how you can build a KPI definition around it. Every commentary conventionalist version of the object, how with the owner changes, the history also changes. So once one manager changes a business goal after coming from a previous managing goals. It can say, hey, you know what, I don't need these goals, I need to change it to a different layer. You can easily go around on your object side and you can change it, right? You can change it to saying, I want to now track which state is doing how much of business, or you can say what are the manufacturing costs which is coming across from a certain stage. So the governance is not just upon, having security, but it's having power towards yourself, where you are the one who owns all of this security, all of these encryptions. Even on the AI level, since there is a knowledge layer attached to it, tomorrow if AI level get removed out of it, the architecture is gonna work. Even if architecture tomorrow fails, which is not gonna happen, your cloud is never gonna go out of service. This can help you out to just not do much more of understanding of how your previous data has been working. It can be kept stored for a longer period of time, and even if certain things goes wrong on your way, the whole service doesn't goes wrong, the whole layer doesn't go wrong. You can easily trace the where exactly the problem is, and you can write or rewrite all those knowledge or afterthoughts of it. In my recent paper, I have spoke more about how the data governance and security actually happens in open source, how you can practice this on your own devices. It depends on how people want to understand or talk about their own object, their own security level, how the rules of governance are built across this knowledge layer, because everything is on dependency on your side. The first thing is the uptime of, let's say, of an AWS or Azure is more than 99.99% on premises. The most reliable thing of the SaaS deployment is the architecture. Since you don't understand the data, where exactly the data schema is on the traditional SaaS, on the cloud native SaaS, you have an understanding of what your schema is, and you can keep a snapshot of each and every individual. Let's say tomorrow the neon or any kind of database is not working, or let's say your IT team is on a holiday, you will always have a snapshots around those things where you can easily backtrack your systems, right? And with the help of infrastructure as a code, or like a service as a code, since all of this has been rebuilt around your old system, even if the configuration tomorrow fails, within a few hours or maybe 1 or 2 days, you can easily bring back or easily uptime all those systems, and your financial can go as long as you want. Let's say for a financial planning, if I have a data of 3 4 years or maybe 4 5 years, depending on how you want to plan, so for 3 years you will create your own snapshot, because those data are never going to change. The historical data never changes around it, right? So you can keep a snapshot of 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025, and then create the whole planning system around it. But on the SaaS platform, if something goes on off, or maybe on the traditional SaaS platform, something doesn't work on the back end, might be a chance you might lose your historical data, might be a chance it might take longer to recover. So resilience is not about just feeling, it's how much you can recover or how much you can easily do a data snapshot around it. This unlocks the whole parity thing, and big organization can buy, a Salesforce, maybe an Anaplan adaptive kind of platform very easily. They can pay off this consultant because they don't have that much level of time or patience to work on their own. But on the SME side, on the startup side, they can now create on the par or much more similar to that power of a SaaS platform, where they can rent out the whole cloud infrastructure from one. They can inherit consumption pricing from scaling to actually using whatever their usage is. For an example, a Postgre or maybe a Neon would run only a $50 per month for them. The computational power to including how each and every volume is, because startup and a mid-sized company won't have that level of data volume what Amazon or what Google might be having. So now the old model or the understanding where your vendor has done the ground ship work, now you can do the whole ground where you can build your own foundation layer, starting from understanding how the layer are built around this data schemas, how the data is coming from a fragmented layer, how you can stitch it. It can do everything for you. It's no more like you need to have a $500,000 or more per money to have all those features. Now you just need an architecture understanding of how you can build a SaaS platform and how you can connect all of your dots and then stitch your data and give you much more better answer of the business goals. And as well as same side of things, these are all open sources. So open sources doesn't really mean like your security is at the worst. You can keep as much as your data on your device and just interact with the open source. Since it's open source, you can keep it on the device, create a role around it, create a IMEI solution around it. And this can totally game change a lot of stuff where now from $500,000 or maybe 250K now coming up to a licensing, not a licensing fees, but pay as you goes fees would be somewhere around like $1,000. Cloud native just turns the whole financial sophistication from a moat into a table stake kind of thing. So the best case scenario for any SME or a startup is they don't need to give a license or they don't need to give a data to a SaaS organization and have maybe 2,000, 3,000 licenses. There might be hardly 50 to 30% using those kind of platform, right? So now you can first start with the data layer where you can understand where your data has potential over it, how it can be auditable, readable, and easily giving you much more business drivers where you can understand what exactly the organization needs out of it. How you can build a KPIs is the most important thing because KPIs are the one who gives you an understanding of organization health. It's like your report card. My only advice for any SME or startup is build your own architecture, create an understanding what your data can do, and then build upon AI layers or build upon the knowledge layer. First, let's build something which is much more basic, where from a data layer you can come up and build a simple Excel sheet or simple Excel reporting, and it won't be an hassle for you. It can be just bringing out data from a Power Query, bringing out data from a database, understanding how your database is working, where exactly how the data is flowing. And the most important part about is you don't need an $500,000. You just need a $20,000, $10,000, two or three brains working together to understanding from architecture to business goals to understanding coding also a bit. And this all 3% can be your AI. This all 3% can be your a single ELT member or maybe multiple ELT members, and you can easily deploy all these solutions.